So before we actually get into today's video, I want to talk to you guys about jerseyfifa.com, because as you can see they have hooked me up with a load of fresh shirts for this year's World Cup. I've got the England home kit, the England away kit, and also a nice little retro shirt. And you can do exactly the same if you head to jerseyfifa.com using the link in the description down below. They also do the same for club football as well. The latest home shirts, away shirts, but also some really nice retro kits. If you are interested, head to the link in the description down below and use code jerseyfifa for a discount when you order. Now into the video. Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel. I hope you guys are all well and good. Just quickly before we get into the video, if you guys could subscribe to the channel, it would be greatly appreciated. I really want to keep pushing the numbers and the boundaries this year, so anyone that subscribes, it would be a massive help to the channel. But anyway, today we are talking about Amad Diallo. Now recently we've spent a lot of time talking about players that Manchester United could potentially sign in the summer or in January. Different bits of recruitment, different bits of business that Manchester United could do. However, there is another bit of business that they could do, and that is recalling Amad Diallo from loan, so I want to talk about that today. Now, the reason we are even talking about Amad Diallo is because he's been on very good form with Sunderland in the Championship. He's still 20 years old, and that means he's got so much room to develop still as a footballer. But like I said, the reason we are even talking about him is because he's been doing very well for Sunderland, with 6 goals and 1 assist in 19 games, which is the equivalent to about 13 90s so far. So it says he's played 19 games, that might be a lot, but in terms of 90 minutes, he's completed 13 90s. So 6 goals and an assist in that period is very decent for a club that aren't even in the top 6 in the Championship. So he's producing good numbers. So I want to talk about kind of why he's producing those good numbers with Sunderland. Why is it working with Sunderland? Could it work at Manchester United? Is he ready to play for Manchester United right now, next season, season after? That's what I want to talk about. And I also want to talk about a potential position change in the future in his career. But in terms of Amad Diallo, for those of you that don't know, he is a very technically clean footballer, and that's kind of reflected in his FBref report. There aren't too many standout metrics here, however we can see that he ranks very well for dribbles completed, progressive passes, pass completion, passes attempted, touches in the attacking penalty area, and progressive passes received. In terms of technically, he is a very sound player, a very well-rounded player, and for his age, he is probably one of the most technically complete footballers there is at the moment. He's very good at all of the fundamentals, and that sets him up very nicely to kind of produce as a footballer. In terms of technically, his technical ability, he's right up there as one of the best players under the age of 23 at the moment. Really is very good, and actually probably a little bit underrated in that aspect. Kind of part of his technical ability is his passing range, and we can see here, if you look at those top 3 sections, again, his passing numbers are very impressive, and he is a player that will help his side keep the ball. Now, when we talk about a lot of wingers, we talk about players that take risks, kind of beat a man, but sometimes they're going to lose the possession of the football, and that puts you on the back foot a little bit, puts you susceptible to the counter-attack. Doesn't tend to happen with Amad Diallo. He is much better at retaining the ball for his side, keeping possession in tight spaces, and some of that is because of his ability and his willingness to pass to others. He isn't a selfish player that wants to dribble past 4 players but go down a blind alley. He is more than happy to bring his teammates into the play, and that is reflected for Sunderland this season. So the question is, where has he been playing for Sunderland this season? Where has he been finding this success? Where is he getting these goals from? Well, it's kind of reflected in his heat map. He is largely starting as a right winger. However, the real key thing for me is that he is coming inside. We can see that heat map in that zone, in that channel just outside the box. That is where he is looking to get into on a really regular basis. Now, at times, Sunderland are playing with a back 3, so there is a wing back going around him to provide the width, allowing him to come inside. At times, it is just a usual fullback, bombing forward, allowing Amad Diallo to come inside onto his stronger left foot. And for me, that's his real strength. I don't want to compare him to Messi because it sounds outrageous to compare him to Messi, but stylistically, that is how he likes to play. He likes to start kind of in the right channel, but then come inside onto his left foot, open his body up, and then play towards the left side of the pitch. I'm not talking about positionally he's moving to the left, but he's starting on the right, coming inside, and then opens his body up to see the rest of the pitch to the left-hand side. That is very Messi-esque. That is how Amad Diallo really likes to play, and it's what he's been doing for Sunderland this season. So the question is, could he do that for Manchester United? And first up, I'm not actually too sure. It's a bit of a step up, really, to play for Sunderland in the Championship compared to Manchester United in the Premier League, the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, the Europa League, hopefully the Champions League next season. It's a completely different environment for him to play in, and he probably isn't ready for the step up just yet, just in terms of his physical development for one. But in terms of tactically, that's what I want to focus on today, because I don't necessarily think that right now he tactically fits this side. And I'll come on to why. And let's just get straight into it, actually. In terms of the way that we think about Amad Diallo is I think we very much think of him as a right winger. Yes, he can play a little more central at times. We've seen a couple of games where he started as an attacking midfielder or a centre forward, but I think we all view him as a right winger currently. So in terms of how he compares to Antony, for me they're completely different players. Antony is a player that at Manchester United is very often used as a wide option, a player that you hit the switch to, then he's going to try and beat his man, or certainly that's the game plan. It doesn't always happen, but that seems to be the idea. Amad Diallo doesn't want to play in this way. And if we're looking at his numbers this season, where he's performing very well and developing his good basic understandings, it doesn't suit him playing out wide. Yes, his heat map starts wide, but he's coming inside all the time. He really wants to come inside and get involved on the ball. So in terms of playing as an isolation winger, kind of taking Antony out of the team and taking this position, I really don't think that that suits him as a player. One of the reasons for this is because of his physical stature. Now, one, he is quite small, which means defenders can kind of lean into him a little bit and win the ball off him. He does need to develop in that area. Now, to be fair, in the past 18 months, he has physically grown a little bit. You can see that in his stature. However, it's still not there entirely. But also, the problem for him is that combined with that, he isn't the quickest. Now, he's not slow by any means. He's got a decent bit of speed to him, a decent bit of acceleration. But in terms of if we're talking about someone like Marcus Rashford on the other side, he isn't a player who's going to absolutely burn up a fullback, knock the ball past him, and sprint past him. That isn't his game. So it creates a problem for Amad Diallo as a wide right winger for Manchester United. In terms of this isolation winger role, personally I don't think it works. I don't think he is suited to that position. He would be more suited to a role where he's allowed to come inside onto his left foot, and someone like Diallo is overlapping and getting round. Now, could that happen at Manchester United? I think it could. However, I still just don't think starting him out wide is actually the best way to use him. Because if you watch him for Sunderland this season, and I'm not sure how many of you have, but if we just go back to this heat map here, it gets a little bit of an indicator. Look at that heat map where he's slightly deeper, slightly more in his own half, and also that position just inside the opposition half. Kind of, let's get the tactic board, kind of in this area here. He is a player that wants to come inside and get involved on the ball. So actually, I do wonder if moving forward, the natural progression for him might be to change position. I personally don't see his long-term career as a right winger. I think he has too many technical qualities that are suited to tight spaces. I think he can move inside. Now, just for the sake of this video, let's take Bruno Fernandes out of the team. I'm not saying that is what should happen, so, get that into your head. I'm not saying he should replace Bruno Fernandes, but I'm just trying to experiment with something positionally here. For me, this is where Amad Diallo is at his best, in this inside channel here, this inside position. So rather than being the right winger himself, he has the right wing around him. I think he is way better in this area, because from a technical point of view, again, he is extremely gifted. His quick passing into play in these areas is very good, but also his ability to turn and play forward is good. I think this is where he is suited. His creativity, very, very impressive. If we go back to his passing FBref report, we can see that his pass completion in terms of short and medium are really, really good. Really, really good. And also his total passing distance is reasonably high as well. This is a player that wants to be involved and wants to keep the ball for his side. Those aren't the traits of a winger. For me, he feels like much more of a midfielder, and the comparison I would like to make is to Bernardo Silva, because he of course used to be a right winger, and yes, occasionally he can do a job there, but what Pep Guardiola kind of realised was that he doesn't really have the physical attributes to be a winger. He doesn't have the strength or the speed to constantly play 1 versus 1, however his small stature and his technical ability in tight areas makes him perfectly suited to midfield. I can see Amad Diallo kind of taking a similar trajectory in his career, where he evolves into more of an inside midfielder. So now the question is, talking about Manchester United, is he ready to play as a midfielder for Manchester United? And for me, in the current position Manchester United are in, I don't think he is. And I'll tell you why. Manchester United currently are a team that, yes, try to control possession, but they have spells where they don't have the ball, where the opposition are really pushing forward and taking control, and Manchester United really like to play in transition. Now, again, if we look at Amad Diallo's strengths as a player, he doesn't suit transitioning football. In terms of, if we talk about him on the right wing, he simply doesn't have the pace really to be a transitioning winger. Again, compared to Marcus Rashford, he's not going to offer you the same sort of thing. And in midfield, there's 2 problems. One, I'm not sure he offers you the defensive ability that you need from a midfielder. I think he offers you the work rate, but again, just physically, his small size, he can be bulldozed a little bit. So I think that would be an issue. But also, actually, from an attacking sense, in transition, it just doesn't suit him even from this position. Because as a ball carrier, he isn't great. Again, that physicality is a problem. Defenders again can lean on him and kind of muscle him off the ball and take it away from him. He also doesn't really have the speed to carry the ball in transition, so he isn't a great ball carrying midfielder. And I think Manchester United need a ball carrying midfielder at the moment. So in terms of does Amad Diallo suit Manchester United's current position, I don't think so. I don't think he is good enough in a 1 versus 1 to play on the right wing in isolated situations. I don't think he is quick enough on the right wing to play in transition, but in terms of in midfield, I don't think he has the defensive capabilities right now, or again the physical attributes, to play in a transitioning Manchester United team. So this is where Amad Diallo has a bit of a problem. And also Manchester United have a bit of a problem, because the talent is there for all to see. And I think no matter where he spends the next 3 years, 4 years, 5 years of his career, I think by 2026, I think he's going to be an incredible footballer that we're talking about as a top level player. I think the potential is clear for all to see, and his technical ability is almost unmatched at his age and his style of player. So Manchester United can't afford to let him go. So the problem is, how do you work it? What do you do for the next couple of years? Because in my opinion, once Ten Hag has this side where he wants it, where Manchester United are extremely dominant, where Manchester United are taking control of games like Manchester City do, they have 90% possession or whatever, something like that, not quite that high. But when Manchester United are really dominating games, taking control, I think Amad Diallo could be a really good player. In this sort of right half space in the system, almost again like Odegaard at Arsenal, Harvey Elliott for Liverpool, Bernardo Silva for Manchester City a couple of seasons ago. I think Amad Diallo could be really good at that role, because he has this ability to link with his winger, he has the ability to drift wide if the winger comes inside, he has the neat passing and combination play to bring others into the game, he has a lethal shot. From long range, the power that he can generate in a shot is fantastic, his creativity is good in these areas, and also his passing to switch to play and bring others into the game on the other side of the pitch. I think Amad Diallo in a couple of years will be a player that is really, really suited to the sort of style. The problem is, he isn't right now. I don't think right now he solves any of Ten Hag's issues, but in 2 years he might. So this is where it's a bit of a weird point now for Manchester United in terms of what do you do with him in the summer? Well, for me, probably, I know a lot of people will see him have a good season this year and want him to be at Manchester United next season. For me, that's not a solution. I don't think United are in a position where they need an Amad Diallo profile. I don't think that's the point that Manchester United are at in their rebuild. However, they can't let him go because he's too good. For me, another loan move is probably the best solution. Potentially to a different league, potentially La Liga, Bundesliga, maybe something like that, where he can develop technically but also tactically, or perhaps a Premier League side. I think next season he needs to be above the Championship because I think he's too good for that. Perhaps a team like Brighton in the Premier League, someone like that could be good. That's actually where I'm really interested to hear your thoughts actually. So get in the comments down below, if Amad Diallo was to leave on loan, where would you like to see him go? I'm sure a lot of clubs will be looking at him because he has a lot of talent. And like I said, I really do think that Manchester United should keep him because at 20 years old, the talent is there for everyone to see. It's so blatant. He is so good. And being given this run of games at Sunderland, has really been good for him. Allowed him to develop physically, but also tactically, but also just get into a rhythm, a bit of momentum to his season. And since doing that for the first time in his career, really, in men's football, he's producing the numbers. And he's developing into a really nice player. He plays an absolutely huge part in the way that Sunderland play. And most Championship fans happily admit he's the best player in the Championship at the moment. So again, I don't think Manchester United can let him go. I think he's on a trajectory to be a player like Bernardo Silva, and we all know how good Bernardo Silva is. That's a massive compliment for me to be saying this about Amad. The question is, how do you work it for the next couple of years? That's for Manchester United to figure out. For me, the solution is loans, and then once Manchester United are a better team, a more complete team, a more dominant and controlled team, I do wonder if he could play almost as a Mezzala in this right half space. Those are my thoughts though. That's how I think I could see Amad Diallo's kind of career going over the next couple of years. It's the development path that I would like to see for him. But we're going to have to wait and see. Again, get in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. Do you think that that's his position as a midfielder? Or do you think he's more of an attacking midfielder, a number 10, a false 9, perhaps a right winger, a left winger? Let me know where you see his future as a player in the comments down below. And again, make sure to subscribe. But that's all I've got to say for today's video. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it, and as always, I will see you in the next one.